So, question of the day, or the question I get asked a lot, is can you really flip houses with no money?
Usually on YouTube, people be like, "Oh, you can flip a house, no experience, with no money."
How? I hate that too.
I'm like, you lying though. I did this for years. I've never met anyone who flipped a house with no money. They say use other people's money, but who's gonna let you use their money for something you never done before?
I would say basically no. I've never personally seen it before. Because you're always gonna need some kind of money to flip houses, some kind of capital. And usually when these people say you can flip houses with no money, what they're talking about is using a fix and flip loan or private investor, hard money loan, stuff like that. But even when you use a hard money loan or you do a fix and flip loan, you need 10 to 20% down. So right there shows you need some kind of money. I see a lot of these guys saying you can fix and flip a property with no money down, and they're obviously gearing it towards people who've never flipped houses before, because if you flip houses before and you've been doing it, you obviously don't need to watch that kind of video, because you already know the ropes. You already know how it goes, and you would know plenty of investors and people who've done it already. You would know guys who could invest in your property flips, so you wouldn't need to watch that kind of video. Anyway, so they're gearing this towards people who've never done it before, obviously. And so would a private investor invest in a flip or property flip with somebody who's never done it before? I would say no, definitely not. If somebody came to me and said they had a deal on the floor and they broke down everything and told me all the gave me all the numbers and whatnot, said, I got this property, blah blah blah, it's worth this much, this is the ARV, this is the renovation cost, and the first thing I'm gonna say is, well, how many flips have you done? How long you been flipping houses? Stuff like that. The minute they tell me, oh, well, this is my first flip, I'm immediately be like, oh no, I'm good. I'm not gonna take that kind of risk with somebody who's never done it before. That's not likely to happen. And and then with the fix and flip loans, I've done a fix and flip loan one time, and I hated it. I did not like the process, nor did I like the fact that they took a lot of your money. When it came to they took a lot of your money with the fees and interest rates, and the interest, because they do interest only loan or monthly payments. Okay, so when I did my loan, right, when I did a fix and flip loan, it sucked to me. I hated it because they did fund the property, right? They fund the purchase of the property, right? And they say they fund the renovation costs too. They say 100% of the property and 100% of the renovation costs. So let's just say they did fund the property, and they didn't want 10 to 20% down. Okay, cool. So you get the house. The way it goes is they do draws for the renovations. So you do your first. You got to break it down into itemize it into different sections, different segments. So that means the kitchen, bathrooms, the basement, foundation, windows, roof, exterior painting, interior painting, basement, all that, broke down into sections. So each time you do one, like say you do the kitchen, it costs you $5,000, $6,000, whatever. You got to pay for it initially. And you got to, that comes out of your pocket initially. So right then and there, you need some money. And then once they come and they send the inspector out, which costs another $125 each time he come out. It's not a one-time thing, it's a every time he comes out thing. So if you got 6 different segments that need to be checked on, that means you got to pay him $125 6 times. And then what sucked, what I didn't like, and which is the reason I never used it again, is because it slowed up the process. They only came out once. They came out only on Thursdays. So if I got done on a Friday, that means I had to wait all the way to Thursday to get the rest of the to get the kitchen inspected, and then keep moving after that. So we just sitting around waiting for a week. That just slowed up the whole process. And then another reason, and then the interest rates eats up all your profit. So with that particular house that I'm talking about that I did, The purchase price was like 100 grand. Renovation was like 50. The ARV was like 225, I think. They charge $1,000 interest only every month. So that means, and then it took so long, which is I think is the reason they do this every Thursday thing, to slow up the process, because obviously the longer you holding on the house, the more interest they can charge you. So it should have took like 3 weeks to a month to renovate this house. But seeing that I had to do this draw process with them, that made the whole renovation process it took like an extra 2 months that it shouldn't have took. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to sit there and wait on them to come out and inspect it, approve it, then move on to the next part. So that added another 2 months that it shouldn't have been added. So that right there is 3 months. That's $3,000 because it's $1,000 a month, interest only. And then once I put the house on the market, got a buyer, within like 2 weeks, then you got to deal with the FHA process. That whole thing right there took like a month and a half. So that's 5 months right there. 5 months, $1,000 a month. That's $5,000 coming off your bottom dollar, coming off the your money, your profit. So boom, 5,000. Then they hit you with these fees. They got, like, when you read your statement, just look at all the different fees they hit you with. You got the acquisition fee, the loan acquisition fee. You got the transaction fee. You got the loan origination fee. You got the flipper fee. It's like a bunch of made up stuff, man. I kid you not. And then so once you add up all those fees, and keep in mind you got to do them when you buy the property and when you sell the property. So it was like $10,000 in fees on the initial when you buy the property. So that's $15,000 right there, subtracted from your bottom dollar. But bottom line, I had to use my money to renovate the property first, and then they just reimbursed me for each segment after the guy came out and checked on it. So there was no point where they paid for everything up front. I still needed to use money. Had to use money for the inspection, had to use money for the appraisal. Inspections was like $500. I'm talking about the initial inspection when you're looking at the property. And then the appraisal was like $600 or $700. So it's all kind of fees, man. And then I've heard people say, well, you could flip a house with no money by using a private investor.
How?
Like, what are the odds of a private investor buying a property and renovating it for someone who's never done it before? You're gonna have to have some type of experience. And if you got experience with flipping houses, then you wouldn't even be watching how to flip houses with no money videos. You just unless you like, entertainment or something, I don't know. But same thing, even with fix and flip loans, usually they want you to have some type of experience. Like, so even if you say you can flip houses, no money on your first house, the fix and flip companies, the loans and the hard money people, well, the fix and flip for sure, they want you to have some type of experience. Usually 6 to 12 properties flipped already. When I did mine, I think I had already had I was already doing it for like 6-7 years before I used my first fix and flip loan, just to see if I would like it. But I didn't like it at all, because I don't like just giving away money for interest and fees that don't even make sense. So I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on the fix and flip loans. But if you limited on money and you only can afford certain things, then yeah, obviously that's a no-brainer. But bottom line is, there was never a point where I didn't have to come out of pocket at all. There was always money needed for something. So that's basically my take on it. No one's going to trust a beginner to, flip a property. It's just real risky. So shoot, flipping houses is risky in itself. So to add more risk by funding it to someone who's never done it before, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I've never seen it happen. And I've been flipping for like 13 years, and I have yet to see anybody who has done it with no money. None at all. Not likely. What they should be saying when these people who say you can flip your first house with no money. I've seen it before on YouTube a lot of times. What they really mean is you could be a project manager with no money. That's essentially what you'd be doing. based on the way they're trying to teach you what to do, how you can get a private investor and bring him a deal and he'll fund the deal if the numbers make sense. Yeah, if you know what you're doing. You're not about to do that with somebody who's never done it before. And but even then, you're not really flipping a house with no money. You're just project managing with no money. You got a job now. You work for the guy who actually bought the house and who's paying for everything. That's basically what you're doing. So what it should say is that you could be a project manager on a fix and flip with no money. You can for sure do that. Yeah, I'd hire one right now. You know, if it made sense, if I could still make my minimum amount that I like to make while hiring a project manager, yeah, I'll do that. It saves me time from doing a lot of stuff, because I don't like driving 45 minutes sometimes to go check on the house or whatever. I could do other things. So to answer the question, can you flip houses with no money? I'm gonna just say no, because it's not so common that it's a obvious yes. There's very few people that have done it. I don't know any people that have done it.
I did this for years. I've never met anyone who flipped a house with no money.
I will say this: it's more people on YouTube. The people who say that on YouTube, I guarantee you, they make more money off the YouTube videos telling people they can flip houses with no money than they actually make flipping houses with no money. I say it like that. The reason I say it's more so you just basically getting a job is because, like, if it's somebody else's money, if it's a private investor, they got the final say so. Like, if you want to do something that you feel might work or whatever, you gotta get the okay from them. So are you really flipping the house, or are they flipping the house and you just working for them? You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. They got the final say so. If you're using someone else's money other than a hard money loan, and even with a hard money loan, you gotta put 10-20% down. You know what I'm saying? And you had to have some experience, like great credit and all that with a hard money loan, and the interest rates is like crazy, like 10% interest rates on hard money. So who wants to do that? You gotta be flipping that bad boy fast. They essentially got the last word with anything that goes on with that house when you got a private investor. So are you really flipping with no money, or are you working for somebody who's flipping the house, funding the deal, paying for the house? Because it's not going to be in your business name, it's going to be in theirs. You know what I'm saying? Their money's on the line, so it's just, I don't agree with none of that. I would say no. I'm gonna have to say no on that one. I'm gonna have to call cap, as my kids say. That's cap. You're gonna need some kind of money. Now you could definitely wholesale the property with no money. You know, basically. I mean, whatever it costs to set up like an email marketing or whatever like that, or website. Put some signs in the street on the yard. Put some signs in the yard, or I'm sure you've seen them signs where it says "We buy houses cash" or whatever. Those are basically wholesalers. Now you can do that with no money, other than the cost for the signs and the email marketing and that type of stuff. $100-200, but you can definitely wholesale, make a decent amount. But wholesaling is like oversaturated now. So many people trying to do it, and then it'd be so many wholesalers like recycling the same property. Like I've seen wholesalers say it's an original wholesaler that has the property under contract, and then they put it out there, whatever, and then you'll get another wholesaler who'll take that property and add their fee onto it, and then another wholesaler add their fee to it, and then you got like 4 wholesalers in the middle of one property. You know, if it's a good property, you'll see that a lot, especially if they feel it's enough room in there to add another fee. So that's annoying, but whatever, I ain't knocking it. Anyway, you can do that with no money. That's one way you could get in the game. Especially just build your bankroll up. Stop trying to find these quick ways to make $1. It's never as easy as they try to make it seem. Never. Like, you're gonna need about 60. Even if you was to do the fix and flip loan route, you still gonna need about, I would say, if you're doing in the Detroit market where you can get houses for like 60, if you was to put 20% down on 60,000, What's that? 12 racks. And then you have to have the money for the initial renovation costs. Let's just say you need to start with at least 10, 12, so like 20, 30, $25,000 should get you in the game. Should be good enough. And then, yeah, I'll say 25,000 for sure. But you definitely aren't gonna start off flipping your first house. You still won't have to, because you can't make a living off of it. That would have to be like a secondary, thing, because like real estate is tricky. Sometimes houses sit, man. They sit for a while. I've had a house sit for 8 months before. And just imagine if I had a loan on that. 8 months, interest only. Let's just say it was $1,000, $8,000 just gone off my bottom line. So it can get tricky for sure. Let's go over here and see what the wife doing. I think she over here writing something. She a writer.
Working.
Oh yeah, cute sweater.
Oh, why, thank you.
What's up?